Our next panel is going to be Seonwoo, Jeaeun, and Jisoo talking about the best way to illuminate architectural ideas within NFTs. So let's give them a warm welcome.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for coming our session. This is for the architectural thing, so purely, really something specific for architecture. So I don't think so many people get into this, but we want to share some of the idea because we are working on already for using the NFT. And my name is Seonwoo Kim from the Advisors. I got more than 17 years of experience on this field, and then I operate several companies called Syntegrate and Advisors. And Advisors is kind of a special company only for the Web3 platform application for the AEC industry. So I think there's so many rooms we can apply, and there's so many potentials for using the blockchain and NFT for this field. So I want to introduce that. And let me introduce Joowon.
Yeah, hello, my name is Jung, and I'm talking briefly about my background. I majored in interior design in the US and interior architecture in South Korea, and I was very passionate with the modern 3D models. So the ability to make a connection between the 3D models and the virtual world, that made me to like dive into the NFT and the work. This world. And currently in the Advisors, I'm working as a project consultant and a designer, and the project I'm working on is like making a 3D model commercial spaces into the NFT collection.
Hi, I'm Jeaeun. I'm working as a project consultant at the Advisors. I usually provide the solution about how to utilize the 3D data modeling derived from the architecture and construction industry. And also, I'm developing the design automation program, which can be used in the architecture and construction industry. So nice to meet you all, and yeah, pleasure to be here as a speaker.
Hello, I'm Jisoo. I'm happy to be here with you guys. And I'm an architect for building in Seoul. And I'm the boss of the architecture office in Seoul. And I'm the owner of the 2 restaurants, which the one is Tequila Bar and the other is European Bistro in Seoul. Yeah, but I'm architect.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. So let me start with some of the slides. We prepared so many slides, but let me make it simple. So, yeah, this is the Times Square. Everybody knows it. And then, like, I don't know what you see, but if I imagine like Times Square, there's so many buildings, and there's also good signage. It's like this, right? And you can see the bottom. There's a people, and people goes here to see something, and talk, and eat, and spending their time here. So that's a space like how people can enjoy. And we've been in the NFT and IC before, and like here now, currently we are in the NFT.London, and we are inside of building. So building provides the spaces for the people, and then we talk and share idea, and then learn something, and spending time again inside of building. So what I want to try to say is like building and the space is the big portion of our big part of our life. And also, I don't know if you guys know that, but like by the 2028, like 16 billion USD is the size of the AEC. So it's a huge market. Then let's think about it. If you think about the architecture or architect, well, I don't know what you feel, but when I study it the first time, it's like somebody has the kind of round glasses and sit on the big table, and they draw something on the big kind of like lines or curves on the papers, and then that goes to the drawing, and then pass by to the people inside, and people use it, and then somebody pour the concrete or to bring the material from the outside and build up the building inside of that one side, right? That's a typical way of the thinking how we feel that's architecture and construction feel. But as you see here, the image designed by Zaha Hadid in Seoul. That's one of my first job. There's so many strange shaped buildings inside of the world nowadays, and then also there's so many challenges. Then the way of the building, way of design should be changes. So adoption of the new tech, such as the computer-based tech, those things is kind of essential for the building those creative design. So simply like this shape, it is UFO things shape, and then that is existing on my laptop as a syntax of the code. So like it can convert to the computer programming thing fully. Then naturally we can think about like the blockchain is an amazing idea, but you know how we can implement blockchain is like making the code, right? Then this code is code, and then it can work together. There's so many rooms and potential we can apply blockchain and NFT for the field. Then there's so many ways, but I want to just share only three key ideas. Like one is very simple. There's an images like here. Typically, generally speaking, like when you go to the design process, just designer or architect, they made so many arts in the process of the design. And many of them, actually most of them vanished. And only one selected, only one survived, and then can be built inside. It's a really what a waste. And then all these crazy ideas go through the kind of trash bin on your laptop or like on your kind of drawings on the paper or somewhere in the office like that. But with the NFT, all those dying idea, vanished idea can alive. They can alive really with it as like one of the spatial design, and then they can be utilized for certain purpose. Next thing is like, for a building project, so many people work together in a form, and they just try to make the only one building, and they communicate, work for the one client, which is the building owner. So many people work on only one design project for a building owner. But what if like this one go to with the NFT, then each of these professionals can be the special expert, and then they can be the author, client, and user of the each design. So it can build new ecosystem in the world. And wow, there's a, let's say, I don't know how many, but let's say there's 100 people here inside. Then when somebody just designed this building, they have to thought of like, they have to make the calculation for what's a load of the 100 people's weight, right? And then like you can see kind of very complicated thing inside here, like the lighting and then plumbing or deck, duct, whatever. So to build a one building, you have to consider so many things, so many things. If there's any building professional here, you guys know that, wow, he's tired, I'm dying, always. But like with NFT, like naturally it goes to the metaverse. Let's say just virtual world. I prefer virtual world, the wording. Then virtual world or like gaming field, this really fantastic design goes that field. They don't need any kind of structural elements or like the lightning like that. So it's much easier. Then purely architect or designer can spend time for making more creative buildings design, right? So it's super beneficial for utilizing NFT. So here my colleague, Joowon, will explain about just kind of example how to apply for the commercial design.
My takeaway after creating this, trying to make these 3D commercial spaces into NFT collection, I came up with four main stages, which are design creation, blockchain NFT coding, web page development, and marketing. I put the marketing in the last stage because I found out that after making all the models and making this NFT correction, we have to make this and make these models and differentiate from others. So that's why I put this marketing, and then I could get this answer for this question from several panel discussion had yesterday and today, thanks to NFT.London. And anyway, so as a 3D modeling designer, I want to talk more details on the design creation and starting from concept idea development. And my colleague and I designed try to come up with the basic concept, and this is the first stage we have to do as an architect and designer, so it was my first approach. And after that, we create a concept 3D model, and I use the concept here because it's like making a parent model before creating all kinds of variations for NFT collection. And later, the third stage, it would be like to use is to find out the methodology for create these creative 3D models and implement this to virtual world platform, and how we can apply those in virtual world. So it took a bit more time than I thought because there were so many options we could use. And later, for the next stage, we had to modify the 3D model to fit this in the NFT, because the biggest concept that we tried was we focused on to leverage the virtual world and real world. So to do that, we have to think of these 3D models, but with the detailed building elements, and then that made us to think of because we want to make the virtual world more realistic with the buildings, and users can have more a sense of feeling of it being inside and be immersive when they are from the user's perspective. So that these models should be compatible to the virtual world. So this here, there is a barrier between like moving from the real world to the virtual world, but we could figure it out. And the last stage, I would say this is a wrap-up stage, because as I mentioned earlier, this is like as Seonwoo mentioned, there's only one project in one client, but when you think of the NFT collection, there's no specific client here, but like there should be like a specific, but it should be considered as one of the projects. And so it's like a very big difference here. So in that perspective, we wanted to make this, and we wanted to show this. There's a big difference when we publish as NFT and maintain as NFT. So this is one of the design we tried to do. So we wanted to implement as much as architecture-related knowledge behind it. So this is a cafe design with such as amenities such as storage, restrooms, and some kind of display areas. And this is like 1160 square feet with a capacity of 25 to 30 people. So we are trying to make vintage and NFT collection. And from the 4 stages, like there's like an NFT coding development. Coding stage, so that could be talked by Jeaeun. So I want to toss my talk to Jeaeun.
Yes. Thank you, Joowon. Yes, I want to talk more about like how to connect the 3D model to the NFT. So, as Seonwoo has explained about our specialty before, we are specialized in the 3D modeling with code. So let me say about what is the 3D modeling with code first. So let's imagine that what if we need to do the project about unstructured and the rounded building, and I can't say that people can do all the works manually. So that's one reason why the 3D modeling with code is needed. So, with our specializes, this slide, on the slide, you can see like one specific example that we did. In the model, like there are red members, you can see that, and there are like they have same shape and they have like different lengths. And we can see that like these members are created with the coding, and that can be the one like example of the 3D modeling with code. So based on our specialty, we thought that like what if we can make the generative NFT with our designs. So what we tried to do was connecting the building elements to the smart contract elements. So what if we can make the like NFT with our building elements? So what we did was we made the code and we made the smart contract as well. So what we realized for this project was there are so many technology based on like smart contract or blockchain, NFT technology can be used in the construction industry, and all the things can be like we can do all the things in the construction industry as well. So and there are another project we want to introduce you. So Jisoo.
Yeah.
By the way, just previous design is like QEii Museum, Scotland, Dundee here nearby. Yeah, for your information.
Yeah, hello again. And first of all, I want to tell you how I joined this field easily. And as you know, Metaverse is engaging as NFTs and blockchains are engaging rapidly together as well. Meanwhile, very well-known company Wisers proposed me to join headquarter design for the Metaverse. So as I was working on it, I became more interested in the spaces in the Metaverse. So as I progressed with the project, I began to think that there would be roles for architects to play in the Metaverse, just like architects in the real world. Since the cyberspace of the Metaverse is also a space, there are similar elements to the real world, such as the sense of spaces and movement that users can feel online, similar to offlines. But of course, there are definitely differences. It's a world where gravity and weather are not important factors you can still witness it now, but it is not a world where we are affected by physiological phenomenon, but time, direction, and relationship between objects still exist. So what about the so-called architecture that has a tremendous history? Should architecture in the Metaverse be like the architecture in the real world, or should it be completely different, or should it be a little bit different? Unfortunately, nothing has been defined yet, but I think it's important to find the middle ground. And if there's a meaningful guideline, we can utilize most of the architectural ecosystem, which I think that it is already almost completely defined, that is actually being built. It's not for a reference or a quotation, it's for utilization. Yeah. So that's why we decided to start with real-world architecture. So I thought that those tasks could be maximized by NFTs and blockchain technology in both the real world and the metaverse, affecting both spaces and buildings, giving meaning to users and owning properties in both worlds at the same time. So next. So as an example, I'm going to show you how to use the relationship between the metaverse and the real world to cover NFTs and the technologies to build buildings from the real world, and how you can end up owning it and how to own it. This allows the properties of the metaverse to be expanded to the real world and vice versa. First, it's based on simple conditions, and it's an example to a building that can be built on a 16 meters by 60 meters site. What you see is a building that's designed with a very full floor area and a very dry area ratio in the real world. It is a building designed considering the time it was built. As you can see, the design's movement path, the elevator, restroom, pitch space, and not visible in modeling, but there are various ducts able to be placed because of the pit space, and we have special guidelines. Guidelines means just like this. What kind of spaces will be created in the metaverse when this guideline is applied? It is as follows. A typical example is the experience about elevators and restroom. And elevators can be a good place to express in the metaverse world, and they can have other significant uses. I'll leave it to your imagination. Of course, there is no limit to the relationship between these things and NFTs. For an example, there are examples. From the building we saw earlier, you can see the various elevations of the building. These are represented by different elevations designed in the same interior. Yeah, the previous example was a simple design and plan. The next example I'm going to show you is a more detailed example. The actual building and floor space ratios are designed on a realistic basis and based on possible space programs when applied to a headquarters of a specific company. There are many programs for fulfill of office building. Yeah. However, if you apply the guideline in the same way as before, you can easily turn it into a metaverse space and maintain the same identity as the building in the real world that was designed from the existing headquarters. And these words can be summarized and expressed in the architectural language of floor plans, elevations, sections, etc. Finally, various intersections in the metaverse are affecting the real world, and transactions in the real world are affecting the metaverse. These are unimaginable things going on in the world of Web3, and that's why we are all gathered here in this space designed by an architect just like me. Thank you.
Yeah. So we would like to share like kind of idea how to apply the blockchain and NFT for the architecture field, and there was examples, and I hope this time was beneficial for all of you here. And if you have any questions or like any matters, just contact us anytime later. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.